Have you ever met someone that you can't quite comprehend, why they are the way they are, the way they speak, the way they express themselves, or perhaps someone hasn't really gotten who you are? Today, we're going to be talking about understanding and why it's so important to be able to understand not just yourself, but one another and our habits and all of that stuff. So welcome to the next episode of the Bump Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to the Bump Podcast. I'm your host Shamir, here with my beloved brother Nabil.
Hey everybody, how you doing today? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day.
Indeed. Hopefully everybody's been enjoying their week so far.
Hopefully everyone's enjoyed our recent episodes that we've released. It's been a doozy.
Yeah, we've been working hard to get a lot of people on the podcast. We've got a lot of guests now for June coming to our podcast. We'll be announcing them soon.
Yeah.
Again, we have to keep it behind doors until it comes out because it's a surprise for y'all anyways. But yeah, we've been working hard. We had James Arnold Taylor already, Bianca Love, a Christian artist. And it's been phenomenal. We've been enjoying it so much.
A lot of good feedback too, so that's been nice.
So thank you guys for the support. Again, like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on all our channels, on all our platforms.
And follow the people we've had on too.
Exactly.
If you like what they do, follow them.
Exactly. And, we're just working hard. We've been emailing nonstop a bunch of people. It's hard to get, big names onto the podcast. But again, we're also going to have all types of different people on the podcast, that have a good story.
All people from all different walks of life. Hopefully you guys can resonate to at least one of them and just relate to them. And that's the goal. So hopefully the people that we have on can actually speak to you guys through this video platform or through the audio platforms that you're listening to us from. And that you can be entertained with what they say and, again, be relatable and just be like, oh, yeah, okay, I see. And then, of course, again, it'll continue to help you build up your personality and better ethics towards the things you do. Yeah. Which today's topic will definitely help you guys build as it's helping me.
Oh yeah, of course. Today we're going to be talking about understanding, understanding ourselves, people. I think more people than ourselves right now, because I think
understanding, one another,
because
that's the best way to put it.
We've been talking about this topic for quite a while because it's so relatable in many different factors and aspects. It's been something that I've tried to grow throughout a very long time.
We're all working at it, honestly.
Yeah, and just to be a better person, man, because sometimes, like back in the day when I was very egocentric and very biased towards things, it was just more a one-way road, my way or the highway, and the way I think is the only way that's the right way, I guess. And that kind of hinders you and it gets you away. People start to stray away from you because they don't like that you don't understand them, that you don't listen to them, that you don't have sympathy or empathy is probably a better word.
A little bit of both, I guess.
And so we wanted to bring that today. I have a few things here. I have a quote I want to bring from Stephen Covey. I have the book over there. It's called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I read this book while I was in prison. There was this guy. He was a guy from Venezuela. I forgot his first name, but his last name was Creel. And he had this book. It had just came in, but because he did so much dope outside in the real world, in the street and inside prison, he was just looking for dope money. So he was like, hey, I'm like, I don't support your hustle, but I really like the book. So I'm like, I'll give you food, what I'm saying, instead of giving them currency or whatnot. And he's like, all right, cool. So boom, that's where I got that book, read it in there.
Perfect.
And this guy's awesome. His quote says, most people don't listen with intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply.
Oh, that's the truth.
Yeah. And bro, that book is full of sayings, and it's just full of good habits to create. So I'll definitely post the link down below to that book if you guys want to read it. It's definitely a
available on
book.
Amazon.
Yeah,
and he's not paying us for that.
I know, it's okay though, but it's a really good book, so it's okay. We'll do that. And this is a very, very true statement here, because I used to be like that too. Sometimes I would, now I try to sit back and relax and listen to what a person's saying, and to see what their point of view is too, because sometimes their point of view might be right and yours might be wrong, or vice versa. Sometimes people just want to be listened to, and they don't need a reply. They just need to be
just heard. Yeah.
You know, recently when I got the radio done in my truck, the guy, I won't mention his name to keep it under the low, but anyways, he was venting with me and telling me about his life and why he's depressed, why he's had suicidal thoughts in the past and all these things. But he's just like, bro, I just need somebody to listen to me, bro. Like, I don't have friends. I don't really have people because I've secluded myself. But like,
that's it. Yeah.
It's just great that you're here, that we're talking about this, because, you know, I can open up with you. You've always been a person of confidence, but, you know, we're still distant at the same time. But when you're in person, we chop it up about all types of things. So, you know, that's it. That right there opened up my mind to be like, wow, people just really need to be listened to sometimes. And this is part of our platform. That's why we always encourage people to comment down below or message us directly. And it's worked out so far. And that's the point. You know, you guys are to be heard. And you guys also have a voice, and anything that any of y'all say, whether positive or negative, is important, because
comes from your life that you've been living,
right? And you know, and that's the
experiences you've gone through.
Do you have the meaning or significance of understanding by any chance?
I did.
It's somewhere around. Okay.
Looking through my notes here, friends.
It's okay. But I do want to say one thing. One of the things that you should do if you're trying to understand a person is to reflect on yourself, recognize your own biases, assumptions, and reactions, and how they may influence your perspective. Because sometimes, I think one of the last podcasts that we had, I said that sometimes we see things for the way. Sometimes we see things for how our opinions and our thought processes
are, how we perceive it,
right, instead of what everybody else thinks or how it truly is. So I link those things together because, you know, in order to understand, we have to sometimes get out of the way we think and see how other people are thinking and what their thought processes are.
Oh yeah. Okay, so the meaning of understanding, thanks to the Google Dictionary, the ability to understand something, comprehension. Right, foreign visitors with a little understanding of English is kind of like what it says underneath that.
Sure.
An adjective form, sympathetically aware of other people's feelings, tolerant and forgiving. Man, that's so true. I mean, that's just hitting literally the nail on the head. Another quote that I had found was, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. I'm gonna be really transparent with you guys right now. Just before we started rolling cameras, we had a disagreement about something, and he was calling me out about it. And I was somewhat taking it the wrong way at first, and then he kind of settled down a bit. With me, in order for you to get me to understand, it's all about how we're talking. So if you come off aggressive or you come off in a way where I'm starting to get irritated with you, I've checked out. Right, but sometimes I try to check back in to really see where they're coming from, and sometimes we butt heads because of that. But that's also from the family we kind of grew up with and whatnot. Not that it's a bad thing; it's just different lifestyles to a certain extent. So he was telling me some things, and it kind of opened my eyes within the past couple of minutes before doing this podcast and even doing our intro and doing this part of the video right now. How right he was about a lot of the things he was saying, and also some of the things that's just kind of eye-opening. I mean, this quote right here really speaks volumes. I'm going to read it one more time.
And I'm sorry, before you say that, he already had this quote on his phone because he already had done research before this had happened, correct?
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So sometimes things happen for a reason, you know what I'm saying? Whether if it's a positive or maybe a disagreement, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes just things happen to line up everything that is the perfection that God has for us in general in our paths. Yeah.
It's just funny how it all works out. Because again, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. If we're not willing to understand, if we're not willing to listen, if we're not willing to speak, which a lot of people aren't. That's including us at times. How are we supposed to become more knowledgeable about people? How to handle people who are tough? Because easy is easy. You know, it's the tough people, the people with loud mouths, rude behavior, profanity up the butt coming out of their mouths. I mean, you name it, you know, people you just don't like.
Sure.
Well, why are they like that? Why are they like that? Why are you the way that you are? Because if you're not willing to understand anybody, what does that say about yourself?
Yeah. That's really
analyze yourself. If you don't have a lot of people, a lot of friends, let's say, around you, why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? And at some point, one way or another, we have been there where we haven't had a lot of people around us. Probably because they didn't like something about us.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they probably won't tell you. And if they tell you, you probably won't like it because it'll come out in a way that's rough and tough to listen to. But if you quiet your mind, this could be through prayer, you know, meditating, doing some yoga, whatever works. Quiet your mind and analyze yourself. See what it is that is, I don't want to say wrong about you, but rather what flaws you have that you could work on. One flaw at a time, one day at a time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't just try to overwhelm yourself. Well, you know, I'm rude to people. I hate when people call me out, just point blank, period. I'm lazy. I'm whatever it might be. Yeah. Write it down and be genuine about it too. Write it down, be genuine about it. Look it over a couple of times and see what you could do to work on it day by day. It's something that we have to do in order to be able to grow. So I thank you for what you told me earlier, because it was just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but even then, like, and I'll tell you, Nabil, sometimes like in my life, bro, like had nothing to do with nobody in the family, just out on the street. There was a lot of moments where it was very eye-opening, whether if it was having a gun pointed to the head or you know, a fight going on or stabbing or something going out on the street, where you're just like, bro, these are reality checks that put you on the edge of like, I need to change or I need to do something about it in order for this to not keep occurring, or you know what I'm saying? So you're not the only one that goes through these things that like, bro, like, what am I doing wrong or why am I like this? It's just like, bro, it's just a process of understanding ourselves too, you see. And that's another thing where you said that we should sometimes quiet our minds. When I was in prison, that's where I met and where I learned so much about myself, because my mind was quiet. I was by myself. I was secluded.
You had time to think. And
sometimes that's very important for everybody to do as an exercise, where sometimes you just got to back away from things, from everything, phone, music, people, everything around you.
Phone's a big one.
Yeah. and just calm down for a little bit, 30 minutes, an hour, and come to realization of things, come to consciousness and recognize that you need to quiet your mind and gather your thoughts together. Because if you're a person that is in control of your life, it will be reflected by your actions and what you do when you're with people. That guy I sent you earlier to, the workout guy, what's his name?
I don't know what his name was,
but Blue or whatever. He's on Instagram. He's a U.S. Marine, super jacked.
Yeah, he's a buff dude.
And something that I like so much about his workouts is that he is ginormous, but he has full control of his body. And that means a lot about his workouts, because there's people that are just as big or even bigger and can't move the way he moves.
Right.
They're sluggish because all they do is just, or they're on dope, you know, they're juicing, or they're just straight weightlifting. They're not doing any like burpees, no calisthenics, none of that stuff. They're just
crazy.
So it's like, what's the point? And then, but what I'm trying to get to is that it reflects the difference of his workouts. So the same thing as our mind workouts of like, okay, if we quiet ourselves and we show, you know, I used to think that being aggressive, which, you know, and just being super loud and cursing and all these things were the ways to completely solve a problem. But it just shows that you have no control of yourself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That you have no intention of becoming a better person and maybe solving problems in a different manner. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not going to say I don't go off sometimes and snap at things that maybe been just, it's been that thing poking in me so many times, constant problem, same thing. You know, I'm not going to say I don't go off at times, because we're human. Sometimes, hey, we might go off at the wrong time, or, you know, at a situation that's just been the same problem. So we need to get away from those things. How do we do it? We have to pay attention to these things that are making us become aggressive and try to stay away from it or work through it in a different manner. But yeah, that's where I'm at with we have to have control of ourselves and our 100%. Minds and not let the situations in our life control us, you know. And I'm not saying, you know, let's say out of 100 situations, 99 or 98 or 90 of them you could control, and then another 10% that you can't. It's just it's the imperfection of life. But, you know, pat yourself in the back when you're doing something good. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I absolutely agree. And a lot of times, catch yourself. Mm-hmm. A lot of times arguments and disagreements literally it stems from that.
Yeah.
It stems from just simply not understanding people, starting off with like family members or coworkers. Mm-hmm. In my experience, I feel like I've dealt with that obviously my entire life. And so again, if going back to what I had said, this is kind of a different version, but everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. You know, there's a lot of things that have irritated me from people close to me. And what that says to me about myself is my mental state and my heart aren't aligned, for one. And that I do need to take more time on a day-to-day basis to be able to quiet my mind, pray, put on some worship music or any kind of music. I'm lately obsessed with lo-fi kind of music. Oh, yeah. They made some lo-fi Star Wars music. Really? So dope. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. People closest to me who are watching this are like, really, Nabil, Star Wars again? Really?
Yeah. Hey, elections are coming soon, and I got the Palpatine shirt
we're voting for Palpatine and Vader, sadly, because
I probably have already had it on one of the podcasts. It might have been the white and blue one. It's the same shirt.
I haven't worn my white and blue one yet.
I'm still gonna rep this, and I'm gonna rep Star Wars to the day I die. Because
if you guys could see the studio right now, he's pimped it out with a bunch of our photos with different celebrities we've met. Yeah. It's super sick. Maybe at some point we'll show you guys.
Yeah, we'll show you.
But anyway, going back to the topic, so I'll put on some nice lo-fi music and something like that. And just literally pour my heart out, meaning, you know, in my case, I'll pray, I'll talk to God, I'll let him know exactly how I'm feeling, what I want to do to work on myself. And I've seen the fruits of that at some points, not all the time. Sometimes I go right back, you know, because I'm letting my feelings cloud my better judgment, and we can't live like that. We can't do that. So that's super important. I want to bring up another quote, which is, empathy begins with understanding life from another person's perspective. Mm-hmm. We're going to sound like broken record here. Okay. We need to be able to talk to other people, your family members, your coworkers, figure out why it is the way they are. That is, if you're willing to invest in those people. The more you do that, you're going to gain some new nuggets on that particular person, which then if you see something that's worth investing your time in them, now you'll have this knowledge, this little nugget that's going to allow you to know how to better handle when you're with them.
Yeah.
Oh, this is what triggers them, so let me not say this, or let me not do this. Mm-hmm. You know, if we go out, I think it's better if I drive instead of they do, because they have road rage all the freaking time. So let me just offer to drive, and everything's cool, and that person's cool, and you're cool, and wonderful. If you guys have a particular meeting at work, and you know that they're not good when it comes to the introduction and all that stuff, actually in our podcast, there's a great example right here. He doesn't like to do the intro. He started at first in our first episodes, but he doesn't like to do the intro just because he doesn't feel like, I don't want to speak for you. Like what?
No. I feel like Nabil is a way better talent than I am when it comes to those things on the podcast, and then just in general, like Nabil can express himself very well, and I'm just like, you know, there's certain things. It's like in the Bible, God had everybody. Jesus had a position for everybody to do a certain thing, you know, and it's like, there's certain things that I feel like I'm not 100% at, you know what I'm saying? So I stay away from that. Let somebody that's a professional or a person that can do it better than me, then
a professor.
Do it,
so am I a professor of introductions? Don't say yes, because
no, you're a professional. You try to do your best, and you've been doing things like this for a very long time. So it's, I give you the liberty to do it. But honestly, I feel like I'm like when you Also, the image of the podcast, for example, you have to have everything aligned with each other. Okay, you got a gas person doing the introduction. You have a gas intro, right? And then yes, I could come in and be like, "Hey, how you doing?" Because I have a good voice or whatever. But you see, everything's aligning. Then you have a good podcast in general, good topic. Everything's aligning because everything's good. Good outro. Bam, you have a great podcast. As opposed to, you come in and I'm not the best at intro.
Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode.
And then if you look at our first episodes and stuff where I did the intros, bro, it's just like...
Didn't somebody comment and said that you seemed a little too...
I don't know. I think you saw the comment. Relaxed. I never got to see the comment.
Yeah.
But I guess, I probably looked like I was...
Looked like he was on dope or something.
Who knows? But, my point given is just there's things you're built for in life and things that you're not. So
sure. And some of it just comes with understanding and experience.
Yeah.
Which he's gotten way better at, and I think I'm getting better at too. Yeah. Going back to this, it's sometimes we tend to derail.
I lost my train of thought. If you didn't,
I was just saying that you're gonna understand. You're going to understand people from their own perspectives. Yeah, is what I was saying. And again, we're just trying to emphasize that we're trying to get it through you guys to find alternative ways to be able to understand people by listening to them, hearing them out, being understanding. No pun intended. But this is the topic of today's episode. Yeah. So
if you don't like it anyways.
Understand it.
There you go. Yeah.
So yeah, keep that in mind, friends. Keep that in mind, the perspective, other person's perspective.
So I have a list of things that we could do.
Oh, we're going to do an exercise or something?
No, I mean...
I'm down for it.
Yeah, but you could exercise at the house. He said practice empathy.
Yeah.
I also said earlier, reflect on yourself, be open-minded, consider different perspectives and opinions. Mm-hmm. Look past first impressions. That's a very important one because
that's a hard one sometimes for me.
Bro, listen, I've judged a book by its cover 1,000 times. You see all these books over here, dude. Like some of them are just like that one right there. The I don't know a person. Mm-hmm. It looks like a girly book if you.
It look definitely does.
At the cover itself, the colors and everything, it just looks weird. But when you open the book and you see the table of contents, you're just like, whoa, this is really good. And it's not a woman's perspective. It's just a general perspective on things. And it's just like, that's just super important. And whether if it's an actual book or an actual person or human being, I think that we should be able to, when Bianca Love was on the show the other day, she also said that she was the type of person of like, she'll just talk to anybody essentially and to give her opportunity. Like, bro, that's the love of God reflecting in her. And that's something.
Just put it into practice clearly.
Yeah. And I was talking to a friend the other day on about the love of God. And that night that I told you, I was like, I looked up what the love of God is, and certain people, depending on the religion that they are or their practices, whether Catholic, Christian, or Adventist, whatever they are, they have different perspectives of what the love of God is.
Sure.
To me, and in my understanding and the way I see it is, I'm not going to exempt anybody from being understood or me loving them or me caring for them. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, judging a person, that's already like, you're technically doing God's job on earth, and that's not right. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're not supposed to judge anybody, but it's in our nature to do so.
Yeah, and then at the same time, I would still consider those things two different judgments, because there's a judgment of like, oh, this guy looks weird, as opposed to like, this guy, because he looks weird, I'm not going to talk to him. You see what I'm saying? Like, to me, those are two different judgments, even though it's the same word. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, it's different, I guess, factors or perspectives on that. Anyways, let's keep going. It says, listen carefully, pay attention to what the other person is saying, and tune into the feelings as well as a story. Think first, Then speak. Avoid jargon and say less. Mean more. And I think, let's see here. Respond in nonverbal ways. For example, a hug or a sympathetic look can be more effective than a lecture. But when these things are, if you give a hug or if you are giving an expression, make sure that it's meaningful. It's coming from your heart and you're actually genuinely doing it. Please don't be, when you're practicing something that's coming from the Bump Podcast, do it from the bottom of your heart. Do it genuine. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're opening so much to you guys to the point that's like, whatever happens behind cameras, we've spoken about it. We're speaking about it, or we will speak about it. Why? Because we're being an open book with you guys in order for you guys to do the same with yourselves and practice it wherever you guys go the same way. You get what I'm saying? Because if we are not realistic with each other and we're just trying to portray a podcast of just like, oh, we got this great look, we got great lights, we got great cameras, all this good equipment and all these things, we got to keep it just, we are keeping it professional, but we're doing it in a manner where it's proper. You get what I'm saying? But we're still being realistic. You see, so we're balancing everything out. So just please be genuine. It's also been hard for me to understand people, for example, I firmly believe that every sin is equal in weight, even though they might be a little bit severe, if that makes sense.
In our eyes, we take it as some things are bigger than others. Sure. That's just our human nature. Right. So if you killed somebody, someone's going to be like, so you're telling me that so-and-so killed somebody versus you taking a piece of candy is the same level of sin?
Sure.
In God's eyes, yes. And that's another topic for another day.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk
about that. We would have to bring the Bible verse into it and explain it and all that stuff. But yes.
So, at the end of the day, what I'm trying to get to is that something I won't understand and don't even want to understand is, like, for example, child molestation or those kind of things that are just like, bro, it only makes sense to a person that is truly sick. And I'm not trying to be judgmental towards that person, because that person might be a great person in society, but behind doors is the most monstrous person on the planet. You get what I'm saying? So those things that, they come up on a charge like that, I'm like, I just don't comprehend why this person is doing that. Would I sit down and hear him out? Probably. But
we would have to, because then it's contradicting what we're talking about today. In the same breath, it's going to be a hard pill to swallow.
That's exactly
because you don't want... Let's be real. We don't want anything to do with somebody like that. But in the same breath, there could be people that doesn't want someone to do with someone who's cheated, someone who's been incarcerated. Sure. Like, you know what I mean?
And then that's the thing. But that's my point. Like, I would listen to them, but I do not agree with that. And my main point is that I just don't understand it. You get what I'm saying? And even if I sat down and listened to this person, I'm pretty sure with the common sense of just anybody's thought process that it wouldn't make sense to understand the reason behind it, because it's like, that would just be more of like a doctor to handle at that point. Like,
what I was going to suggest was... was more like a let's paint a quick scenario here. Sure. Let's say who's somebody who used to be a child molester or a rapist or whatever has now gotten to the other side and decided, hey, Nabil and Shamir, I want to talk to you guys about this, and I want to talk to you guys about where my mind was then and where it is now. I would love to hear that.
Yeah.
I would love to hear that, because hopefully they're regretful about it. Hopefully they've found the help that they've needed. I'd hope also that they'd be able to ask for forgiveness to, the victims. It's like a little dark topic here when it comes to that particular topic that you just brought up.
But the reason why I brought it up too is just like, just by nature, sometimes people try to give different weight to things. But what I'm trying to say is that I'm willing to sit down to listen, but there's certain things in life that you
kind of don't want to.
It's not even that you don't understand. It's just, it makes no sense. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, there's really nothing to understand when it comes to those things that are like sick or completely monstrous that only like one human being or a couple human beings on the whole planet would do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like a prison full of people in comparison. Let's say, when I was incarcerated, they had all of them put together. They were only like a dorm full. So there's only like 74 people in let's say we multiply that by the 100 prisons in the state of Florida. That's 700. What is it? 100. That's 7,400 people. I might be wrong in my math. Anyways, but anyways, let's say that's the amount of people that are doing it in the state of Florida times whatever there is in the world, right? So let's say there's tops 1 million. You know, that's not even really a 1% of society that would do it in the whole world. You get what I'm saying? So if it's not even 1%, to me, that's like not many people would do it. You get what I'm saying? So it's like something's wrong with you at that point. You know what I'm saying? And you need to seek medical attention. But anyways, in that part, we're understanding because it's like, well, you just need help. You get what I'm saying? Because let's say if the person ends up being like you said, and then they're like, hey, you know, now I gave my life to Christ, or, you know, I'm a Buddhist, or I'm a Muslim, or whatever I believe in, and I've got away from my old ways, and they're not doing it anymore, and they're genuinely behind doors not doing it anymore. Well, then good. You know what I'm saying? Because you've accepted that you're doing something wrong, and you've understand that you're doing something wrong, or you were doing something wrong. Because again, I didn't understand that I wasn't a law-abiding citizen until I was like in prison. I'm like, okay, I'm not a law-abiding citizen. I'm doing things wrong, and I need to fix them. So not only am I understanding society, I'm understanding myself. You get what I'm saying? So,
yes.
Yeah. And then the last one I want to mention too is being resilient. I read this little thing on this guy. He says, let's talk about resilience today. More specifically, how developing a resilient mindset helps you cope when life gives you what you need rather than what you want. And that could come to also understanding people. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes what you need is to understand people, and what you want sometimes is not to understand them, because
the opposite,
you might be thinking the opposite of what they're thinking. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, did you have something else to say there?
I mean, it all pretty much is the same thing, essentially. Seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Yeah.
I mean, that just makes perfect sense to me. When you understand other people, I think it'll be easier for you to express yourself to others. And then hopefully people will understand you in the process. Yeah. So that's just something to kind of keep in the forefront of your mind after today's first episode. But here's an interesting verse in the Bible that I was just like, oh, this is phenomenal. Wonderful. I think people need to hear it.
Great.
It's about King Solomon in 1 Kings 3 verses 9 and 10. Don't check out, people, because there's a whole thing to this, right? This is King Solomon praying to God. He says, give me an understanding heart so that I can govern your people. Again, he was a king. So that I can govern your people well and know the difference between right and wrong. For who by himself is able to govern this great people of yours. So the Lord was pleased that Solomon had asked him for wisdom. God continues on by saying that in verses 11 and 12, and you guys can read it for yourself, of course, but it says, because you have asked for wisdom in governing my people with justice and have not asked for a long life of wealth or death of your enemies, I will give you what you ask for. I will give you a wise and understanding heart, such as no one else has had or ever will have. And then he goes on to say he'll bless them even more by giving them riches and fame and all that stuff. The point is that even someone in a level of a king asked for understanding. Yeah. He wanted to understand the people he was going to rule over. He was ruling over. He was governing over. And God said, okay, I'll give that to you. I personally believe that he's been able to do that for me too in my life when I've prayed about it too, in a slightly different manner than that. But when I read it today, yesterday, I should say, when I was doing my research and whatnot, I was just like, oh, this is just perfect. It's a good way to be able to, again, quiet your mind, go into a meditative state, and gain what you need. Gain the tools that you need in order to be able to put this into practice. So that's just food for thought for you guys. I don't really have anything else to add in that regard. I just hope that people keep this in front of their
the religious
brain.
Portion. I will say that when I've prayed, I always ask God for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, which are three of the essentials in the Bible in general and in a Christian walk. So yeah, just if you are a Christian or you are a believer of the Word, or you're trying to believe in the Word, ask for those 3 things, and you'll start to see that God will open paths that you never believed were possible.
Oh yeah.
Continue to try and practice to understand people and understand yourself, to see the things that you might not know about yourself or about that person. If you're in a relationship, in a marriage, and you're trying to progress and move forward, you have to do these things.
Yeah.
It's not what I'm asking you to do. I'm not asking anybody to do anything. I'm just giving a suggestion here on our platforms, and hopefully it suits you well, because again, Nabil and I, we are trying to walk a better path every day, be a better self every day.
Yeah.
So these are things that are working for us. They're tools that we are using through life experiences, and also through our research that we do on a daily basis. So we just ask you guys to, do your due diligence in general, and stay focused on those things.
Yeah.
We thank you so much for tuning in today. It's been an awesome topic, honestly. I love podcasting in general, just being behind the microphone and speaking a little bit and in front of the camera. But we want you guys to continue to subscribe to our channels. Comment, please. We want to hear your guys' feedback. What you guys think about our topics. What can we do better? What can we continue to do? And
suggestions are welcome.
Should stop doing. So like, comment, and subscribe. Wrangle, dingle. Again,
don't forget that.
Yep. Every Wednesday when we guys upload, stop watching everybody's podcasts or anything you do. Come haul at us. Listen to some positive vibes.
Yeah.
And and our little giggles here
words.
And there. Positive words and word of encouragement, guys. Again, thank you so much for the support y'all have given us already.
Another thing to mention too is, obviously, for those of you guys who are loyal followers, have noticed that we're starting to upload a little later on Wednesdays now. We're doing that on purpose. So
of course,
it's not like we're forgetting or like, inconsistency. No. We just decided to change it up just a smidge.
We're trying more things. We're just trying the platforms.
As you can see, we're even,
Yeah, we're upgrading. We're going to continue to upgrade. We're going to have different camera angles very soon.
Yeah, put these little paddings just so the audio can sound better. Anybody that knows about audio should know what this is.
Yes, definitely.
So these are really nice.
Just giving a different look too in general. So
it looks really good.
Yeah, I love it. I just
very
want to
studio-like in our studio.
Yeah, I want to continue to keep bringing this to a whole nother level for everybody in general, so this platform could continue to grow, and everybody could continue to grow with us. So
yeah.
Again, we thank you so much. We love you guys.
Thank you guys.
And it'll be until next time. Take care and have a great week.
See ya.
See you later.